The structure of today's panel consists on listening first to the Drama League. It's a non-profit organization sharing their experience working with volunteers. Gabriel Shanks, director of Drama League, will explain how his organization has been successfully using and managing volunteers. And we will listen to 3 volunteer service providers, starting with Meghan Moloney from New Yorkers. She will not only introduce us to the several programs that her organization manages, but also she will share how they have been able to manage and recruit thousands of volunteers for several projects. Meg's presentation will be followed by Fran Smyth from Arts and Business Council of New York, who will explain how her volunteer programs work and how organizations get access to them. She will also make some recommendations on how to engage, manage, and recognize volunteers coming from her programs. After Fran, we have Kevin Cummings from NYC Servce will explain 3 of several volunteer initiatives that the City of New York manages, emphasizing the current guidelines to apply for volunteers and to take advantage of their online volunteer enrollment system. That being said, let's turn over to the Executive Director of the Drama League, Gabriel Shanks.
There's something valuable about how nonprofits are approaching volunteer experience, especially in the economic downturn. I think the traditional thinking around volunteers is that it's free labor. If you are a little more sophisticated about it, you go to what are called the 3 R's and have a larger sense of it. The Drama League's had an evolution of thought beyond that in the last few years, but actually our volunteer process starts at the beginning of our organization. We are 96 years old, and the organization started as a women's service organization in World War I. They did blood drives at Broadway theaters and had benefit performances and raised money and did performances on the boats stationed in the harbor when troops were visiting. And that idea of service has always been a part of the organization. It has also always had a program roster larger than its staff can maintain. I think a lot of us face that every day, that our program and our mission sometimes does not match our resources, especially in personnel. Currently, the Drama League is a $1.3 million nonprofit. It's not a very large nonprofit. It has a staff of 6. That staff of 6 manages over 100 performances, special events, workshops, panels every year. It also manages 6 arts education programs. And that's simply not possible for us with our paid staff. And we have really had to rethink our relationship to volunteers in a profound way. That really started to happen in 2006, and in 2007 we launched something with the rather unfortunate title of the Backstage Crew, which, although cutesy, does have a point that we really wanted to bring volunteers away from being the other and into the core of our business, that they really are part of the working model of the organization. That the Backstage Crew follows a lot of the 3 R's. It is a group unto itself, but is also integrated with our staff. They have events planned for them, recognition events. There's stewardship that must go on like any other community in our organization. But that group also, we really tried to approach the psychology of volunteers, both in ourselves and in them, to try to eliminate what barriers there were. I mean, obviously there are times when it's a envelope stuffing party or those kind of basic raw tasks that need to be done, but as much as we can, we try to honor their work as we would honor a staff member's work. We try to integrate them into the conversation of the organization and the mission. And what we found is that we were able to accomplish significantly more than we would have been before. By taking the time to sort of bring them into a conversation about the missions, about the programs, to have a deeper understanding. They really have become ambassadors and advocates for the programs in their own lives and in their own work. They also are able to take on higher end tasks within the organization. And you know, I'll tell you, for me personally, there was a lot of trust issues about turning over larger pieces of the organization and larger chunks of authority to the volunteers. I've been extraordinarily rewarded by that process. Today, the Backstage crew has almost 100 members. And we function, I mean, just to give you some examples, in addition to those 100 events and the myriad programs that we do, some of our special events are almost completely run and managed by this volunteer core group. One of our events that's coming up in May we'll have nearly 1,000 guests at a sit-down dinner, a major worldwide press event, all of these things. We are a staff of 6, but that event will have 65 people running the event. And that simply would not have been possible without this group being so integrated into what we're doing and how we work. It obviously takes some time, and it does take a psychological shift in your own paid staff to sort of realize that that is not extra work, or they do have to be trained, they do have to be communicated with, they do have to be valued, they do have to be recognized. But once you have sort of eliminated that barrier, even my own staff has really found it very fulfilling to have this group of people who care about the mission and are literally giving their time, energy, sometimes money, sometimes giving up their own lives to make this organization run. So for what I can say for our experience, and would encourage you to do, is go beyond the 3 R's to see if you can find ways to bring a volunteer program away from the tangential side of your organization into the core of your business. It can reap real rewards.